Question 11. Question 11 was a 10-mark question, and it read, using the above pictures of the overarm throw in cricket and the stationary iron cross in gymnastics, answer the following. For the right arm and shoulder for both athletes, examine the muscles being used and the types of contractions that are being performed. Firstly, we'll just look at where this comes from in the PDHPE syllabus. The dot points that we're looking at here. This section here, where the muscular systems being examined, the major muscles involved in movement, the muscle relationship in terms of the agonist and antagonist. In particular here, the muscle contraction, the types of muscle contractions, concentric, eccentric and isometric. The identification of the major muscle involved in the movement and related joint actions, and then we're also looking at the specifics of an action and movement. And this one we're looking at the throw and the iron cross. If we go back to the question, we can see that a couple of things we need to highlight first up. I think we need to understand we need to use both pictures, so it's not only one of them but both of them, and it's the right arm and the right shoulder for both athletes. When we examine, when we talk about examining, we're looking into and delving into the question and looking at what implications occur as a result of this. The types of the contractions that are being performed is also the other part of the question after we've identified the major muscles. Now, for the throw, the first thing we can look at is the muscles that are being used, and we have the deltoid, the latissimus dorsi, the bicep, the tricep, and down into the arm, the extensors of the arm. You could also talk about the external obliques, and the trapezius would also be used in this throwing action. The type of contraction for those muscles is an isotonic contraction, and with the isotonic contractions they can be classified as either eccentric or concentric. Eccentric is when the muscle lengthens through the contraction. Concentric, the muscle would shorten during the contraction. So there's part of several of those that are occurring as we look at the right arm. The first one would be, the major ones would be eccentric, where the contraction takes place, and through the follow-through there would be some concentric contractions occurring in the wrist. If we look at the iron cross, we can see that the bicep, the tricep, the deltoid, the supraspinatus, the pectoralis major are the major muscles that are being used in this isometric contraction. Isometric suggesting that there's not any movement or change in the length of the muscle occurring throughout the contraction. So to answer the question, you would need to indicate for both pictures, for the right arm and the right shoulder, the muscles that are being used, as well as the types of contractions that we've looked at just there. If we have a look at a couple of the sample answers that have been provided, the first one, the pleasing part of this one, what I've chosen is it's indicated very straight up that the right arm and the right shoulder for both athletes is being looked at, and the muscles have been identified there. So some boys failed to identify both the arm and the shoulder, so that was an obvious thing for the marker to see that they've understood the arm and the shoulder. The answer continues on, and they've mentioned isotonic and given explanation of the two types of isotonic contractions, and given some examples there to back up that they know what the type of contraction is that they're talking about. Also give some further information about the agonist. So it shows again that they have an understanding of the terminology that's being used in this question. I like the highlighting. It also backs up what they're doing there. If we look at another sample here, we can see the thing. One of the aspects of this one I like is the muscles are being listed up on either side of the pictures. Now that's an important tip for all of you, that the markers will read that and they will use that and mark it. So if you've got an opportunity for that, to do that sort of thing and make notes, please do so, because they will be marked, and that's a really good point there for this particular student. The highlighter again shows me that they have looked at the different aspects and the key terms of the question. As the question is answered, they've identified the muscles. We can see the muscles have been identified correctly. They've also identified the types of contractions effectively, and through the use of the highlighter again, it's made it very obvious to myself that's the case. Places where people fell down was not so much the incorrect muscles being identified, but not identifying enough of them, and then being able to correctly identify the contractions, the types of contractions that were being used. But generally well done, so thank you.